ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यम् बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुरा ततम्। Can everybody say after me Hare Rama Krishna? Om Hare Rama Krishna, Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. We will do some more charts today. Do you all remember what we did in the last class in the Drakana and Saptamsha? How to see individual children and siblings? Basically, the direction of counting is based on whether the sign Lagna is odd or even. If it is odd, go forward. If it is even, go backward. And counting is for children 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. And for siblings, for younger siblings it is 3, 5, 7 and so on. For elder siblings it is 11, 9, 7 and so on. So you take the corresponding sign and the Lord and see where he is placed and then take that as the Lagna and then you can give readings about that particular sibling or child. And if you want their spouses, the spouse of a sibling or the spouse of a child, then you take the Upada from there. And the children are seen from the ninth from Upada, because children are the dharma of the marriage. They are the fruits of the marriage. So that is how you see various siblings and children and their spouses and their children, etc. If you want to see, for example, siblings mother-in-law, how do you see? Mother-in-law of the sibling. So for a particular sibling you found the Lagna. You found the house and the Lord where he is, you took that as the Lagna. Now how do you see mother-in-law? Fourth from UL. You find the Upada from that Lagna and then you see the fourth from there, that will be the mother-in-law. That's basically the mother of the spouse of sibling. So that will be the mother-in-law. For example, if you want to see mother-in-law in an example, I don't think I have the chart. I saved last time, right? Yeah. Okay. Can everybody read it? So for example, if you want to see the elder siblings of this person, we did this example in the last class, if you remember. We did one younger sibling and one elder sibling. So for elder sibling, what did we do? Because ascendant is in Taurus, which is an even sign, you have to count backwards. And for elder sibling, it is 11th house. So backward, if you count 11, that is basically equivalent to counting third in the forward direction. Because when you count backward 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, you come here. And if you count 3 forward, 1, 2, 3, you come to the same place. So if you want to count 11 backwards, count 3 forward. Or if you want to count 3 backward, just count 11 forward. So it is, that is how it is. So the elder sibling is from this sign. And because Rahu is there may be a miscarriage. That is why last time we asked him if there was a miscarriage between him and his elder son. And then the one who is elder to that miscarried sibling, that sibling is from the 11th from there. So that will be from this sign. So we saw his elder sibling from Virgo, if you remember. So where did we see the sister-in-law? We saw the Upada from here, right? The Upada from here will be the Arudha of the 12th house from here. So Arudha of this house. Where is that house? For me? A4. So it's in Aries. Right? This is it. For me? Are we looking at the right chart?
Yeah, correct.
Did we see your elder sibling last time? I think we spent most of the time on the younger sibling.
Younger spouse.
Okay, we saw. Okay, but we can see the elder also now. So for because I don't remember Upada here. I remember one Upada here.
Yeah.
That was your. Okay, good. So anyway, so for this elder sibling who's elder to him but with a miscarried child in between, for that elder sibling, the Upada is basically the Arudapada of this house, and this is nothing but the fourth house from the actual Lagna. So you can look for A4 in the chart instead of computing it yourself, and A4 is here. So this is the Upada for that particular sibling. Oh, actually no, sorry.
No.
I made a mistake. Can anybody find that mistake?
Upada should be the house or the Lord?
You have to consider from the Lord.
Yes, from the Lord. So if you take the Lord of this sign, where is Mercury? He is here. So if you want to judge his elder sibling, it's not from Virgo, but it is from Taurus. Now, where is the Arudha of the 12th house for that sibling? It is basically from here. It is the actual UL, so it is here. Yeah, I remember getting in Gemini, so I was getting confused. Right. So, what about mother-in-law now? What about the mother-in-law? Which house will show the mother-in-law? The fourth from there. Where is the fourth from there? It is in Virgo with Saturn there. So if you want to make any predictions about his elder siblings, his elder brother or sister, brother, right? His elder brother's mother-in-law. If you want to make any predictions about her, again remember, as you go further and further away, the predictions will not be as crisp. About him and his siblings, you can make very good predictions. Even about his sister-in-law, you can make some predictions. But if you are talking about his sister-in-law's mother, the predictions will not be very, you can't make very clear predictions. But you can get some idea. So if you take this as Lagna, and if you take various houses, you will see what kind of a person that mother-in-law is. For example, here you can see that Saturn is in Lagna.
But don't you take the Lord of the house again from mother?
No, you don't take the Lord of the house.
Take that house.
You said take the house itself. And that house will show the mother-in-law. More than the mother-in-law, it will show the relation between the mother-in-law and the person and his spouse. That is what it shows even more than showing the mother-in-law. Yes.
Since his elder brother Lagna is following the same as his Lagna in the Rekana,
Yeah.
that means his mother-in-law and his brother's mother-in-law will be same.
His mother-in-law is not seen from this chart. If you want to see his mother-in-law, the native mother-in-law, you go to the Navamsha, because Navamsha is the chart that shows his spouse. And now the mother-in-law is basically the mother of his spouse. So you see it from the Navamsha. In the Drakana you see only for his siblings. Okay?
Here Lagna doesn't signify his own existence.
Lagna in Drakana signifies his own existence from the point of view of siblings, from the point of view of his interactions with the siblings, from the point of view of his relations with the siblings, from the point of view of what he does to his siblings and what his siblings do to him. Not just siblings and all their relatives. So if he has, for example, if he has a very bad relationship with one of the mother-in-law of his brother, let us say, then you will be able to see it. But that is not really the case here. If you see Virgo and Taurus don't really have a very bad relationship. So you don't really conclude that he has a bad relationship with his mother-in-law. But the fact that you see the Upapada of the elder brother, that has Sun in it. And the mother, if you take the mother's place, that has Saturn in it. Even though both are owned by Mercury, both are Mercury's houses, one has Sun in it, one has Saturn in it. So there is an inherent enmity. So sister-in-law and her mother are not on great terms. There is some problem there. Exactly what it is very tough to say just from this chart. But you can say that there is some friction between his sister-in-law and her mother. But if you see his elder brother himself, that is from Mercury. So you don't really detect any problem. His brother-in-law may not really have, not brother-in-law, his brother may not really have any problem with his mother-in-law, but his wife may have a little bit of friction with her own mother. So that is what you can see from this. And if you think, yes,
Because Mercury and Saturn really are friends.
yes, they are
The
friends.
house of the Mercury. So actually his brother and his brother's mother-in-law get along fairly well.
They should get along fairly well based on this. And if you do you have,
They do.
they do, okay, good. And do you know
I
if
don't know how far whether they have any friction or not, but they always have some problems, not because of her, but like her brothers, my sister-in-law.
because of your sister-in-law's brothers, you are
Yeah.
saying. But there is some friction. Because of whom is tough to say, but there is. It's not a great relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is what Sun and Saturn will show. Even though both are Mercury signs, when you see Sun in one sign and Saturn in one sign, you can conclude that there will be some friction, because they are at the opposite ends of the political spectrum. Basically, Sun and Saturn are both political planets, but at the opposite ends of the political spectrum. Sun wants power and Saturn wants. I mean, in politics, Sun wants to be the king and Saturn is the laborer, and they are always at the other two extremes. Sun and Saturn, even though they are father and son, they are at two extremes. So they are always fighting. They are always at opposite ends. So if you see them, basically in charts like this, Rekana and Saptamsha, when you find the lagna of various relatives, if you see Sun in one sign and Saturn in one sign, you can conclude that there is some kind of friction between them. Or similarly, Sun and Rahu, Sun and Ketu, Moon and Rahu, Moon and Ketu. In these cases, you can conclude that there is some less than ideal relationship between those two people. That is what you can conclude. Another thing is, if you see two lagnas in 6th and 8th from each other, that's called Shadashtaka or Shashtashtaka. Or if you see two lagnas in Vridvadasha, one in the 2nd from the other and the other in the 12th from the other, that relationship is called Vridvadasha. If you have any of those two relationships, again that is not a good relationship. But more than that, planets will give it more clearly. If you, just because two lagnas are in Vridvadasha, it doesn't mean they will be fighting, but it may mean that they one expects something from the other but doesn't get, so there is some frustration. It may show that. But in the case of planets like Sun and Saturn, it is like when you see some people, you just feel like you don't like them. When you see certain kinds of people, you are repelled by their behavior. You are just repelled by them. So that is what Sun and Saturn do to each other. They just repel each other. But of course, your sister-in-law and her mother, they may not be repelled because they are, after all, mother and daughter. So it will not be like somebody being repelled by the other, but there will be inherently, internally there will be some repulsion. So inherently there will be some proneness to disagreement basically. So that is how you see the mother-in-law. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And the Venus Dasha has started.
Did it start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does this mean like
One second. Yeah. There is a nice Grahamalka yoga. Very good. Very good. In the Rashi chart, Maitri's point is in the Rashi chart, from Venus to Moon, there is a nice Grahamalka yoga. And she is saying that Venus Dasha has started now. So she is saying that the Grahamalka yoga is triggered now. And what do you think the Grahamalka yoga signifies here? Just try to give your reading of the Grahamalka yoga. Venus, starting from Venus and ending in Moon, each sign is occupied by planets. So that is called Grahamalka yoga. Some people take at least 5 signs, then only they take Grahamalka yoga, and some people take 4 or some people say that 4 is also enough. Let us say that 4 is enough, and from Venus to Moon there is a Grahamalka yoga. So what is the result you would attribute to that? Okay. Interesting thing is, Venus is the Atmakaraka also. He is the significator of the soul. So the Grahamalka yoga is being started with the Atmakaraka. And he is the 9th Lord of Dharma, religion, Guru, etc. So the planet who owns the house of money and the house of religion, house of religiousness, that planet becomes Atmakaraka, and he is triggering, he is starting, he is the seed of a Grahamalka yoga. So that is very auspicious. But one thing that you should remember is one thumb rule. Again, thumb rules don't always work, but a very popular thumb rule is the dasha of the Atmakaraka, Chara Atmakaraka, is always bad. It is said to be very bad. From the point of view of material prosperity. From the point of view of spiritual growth, it is a very good dasha. But for material pursuits, it is considered to be a bad dasha. It is considered to give lot of suffering. Why? Because Atmakaraka's agenda is not to give you money. It is not to give you lot of nice cars. Atmakaraka, pardon me?
Salvation.
Yes, Atmakaraka's agenda is salvation. He wants, he is your soul, and he remembers what you did for so many lives, and he remembers what your agenda for this life is. And in case you get into other pursuits which are taking you away from your main spiritual pursuit, that only the soul remembers. It will teach you very harsh lessons, and it will force you to go back into the right path, right from the point of view of soul. For another planet with another agenda, there may be another right path. What is right, what is wrong depends on who is looking at it. And when Atmakaraka takes a good look at you, the right path for him is that of spiritual salvation, spiritual growth and spiritual stability and salvation. That is the only path for him. All other paths are irrelevant to him. So, when Atmakaraka's dasha starts, it is a good idea to be spiritual and let your own spirituality basically rise. If you don't do that, Atmakaraka will be forced to give you some harsh lessons in life, so that you will be forced to take a good look at your own life. That is the thing about Atmakaraka's dasha. So if you take predominantly materialistic people, they will usually suffer during the Atmakaraka's Vimshotri dasha. So that is another aspect. Basically in this dasha, spirituality will become very important, and there may be some material setbacks, especially if the person is running after those material successes. There may be some setbacks also. But apart from that, the fact that Atmakaraka is starting this auspicious Grahamalika yoga means that this is the seed. This dasha will be an important dasha for his spiritual growth. It will set the direction for his spiritual growth. He will find his roots basically. He will find his own identity. He will find who he is. He will get an insight into who he is and why he came into this world, what he came into this world for. So this is a very auspicious dasha. And what will be the fruits of this Grahamalika? What is the final culmination of this Grahamalika? The seed is Atmakaraka, 9th Lord. So finding his spirituality, and that too through the religious path. Some people find their spirituality not through religion, but through just yogic sadhana or something. Some people don't really believe in a particular form of rituals, etc. But still, it doesn't mean that they are not spiritual. But here, the Atmakaraka Venus, he owns which house? 9th house of Dharma, 9th house of religion, 9th house of righteousness. So he will find his spirituality through standard ritualistic procedures, through ritualistic path. Through that path, he will find his spiritual root. So that is what will happen in Venus Dasha. When did it start? Recently?
September 27th.
Okay, it either started a few days back or it is about to start. So this will be a very good dasha for spiritual growth. And then what will be the culmination of this Grahamalika? It is culminating in moon. And is moon strong or weak? Moon is in a friendly sign. Moon is in the sign of a friend Jupiter. Is he see, when I talked about friends earlier, I defined two kinds of friends. One is permanent friends and permanent enemies. The other is temporary friends and temporary enemies. So Jupiter is a permanent friend of moon, right? And on top of it, temporarily is he a friend or an enemy? He is a friend. What is the rule I said? Take 3 houses on this side and take 3 houses on that side of the planet. Those 6 houses, planets in those houses become friends temporarily. Here Jupiter is in an adjoining sign. So he is a temporary friend. So being a permanent friend as well as a temporary friend, what is the compound relationship? He is an Adhimitra. That means a very good friend, best friend. So Jupiter being a very good friend, moon being in Adhimitra sthana, it is a very auspicious placement. So moon is very strong. And he is in Jupiter's sign, that too Pisces, not Sagittarius. Pisces is a watery sign. Sagittarius is a fiery sign, which is Agni Tattva Rashi. On the other hand, Pisces is a Jala Tattva Rashi. And what is the nature of moon? Is he Jala Tattva planet or Agni Tattva planet? He is a Jala Tattva planet. So when moon is in a Jalatatva Rashi, he is stronger, he is more relaxed basically. He is in a place which is like him, which has the same nature as he does. So he is very relaxed in that house. So moon has excellent sthanabala in this particular chart. Does he have a lot of kalabala? He is in the tithi is Shukla Dvitiya. One thing you should remember is, whenever you see moon, if you want to see the strength of moon, look at tithi bala also. Look at the tithi. That is very important. Moon's bala, apart from where he is, what house he owns, one important criterion for judging the strength of moon is the paksha bala. See whether it is Shukla Paksha or Krishna Paksha. If it is Krishna Paksha, that is moon is waning, then moon is not strong. If it is Shukla Paksha, when moon is waxing, then he is quite strong. He is very auspicious. And here is moon auspicious or inauspicious? He is auspicious. It is Shukla Paksha, but this is soon after Amavasya. This is soon after the new moon. So moon is like a small line, but he is basically growing. At least he is not declining. So this is, moon is auspicious. Pardon me?
After Ranjan.
Yeah, this is, oh, is it a day after Ramjan? Good. So what this means is, overall, if you judge the strength of moon is quite strong, and he is basically,
On the right thing.
he is on the right side, basically, he is rising. And what houses does moon own?
He owns the 11th house.
He owns the 11th house. 11th house, what does 11th house show? 11th house shows friends and gains, etc. So the result of this Grahamalika Yoga, he will find his spiritual roots, and as a result, he will make friends. I said he will make friends not only because moon owns the 11th house, but moon is, which karaka is he? In terms of Charakarakatvas, what is the Karakatva of moon? He is Dharakaraka. Dhara basically means wife, and it also stands for all your friends, etc. So because moon owns the 11th house and he is in the 7th house of relationships, and he is Dharakaraka, as a result of his spiritual pursuit, he will make a lot of friends. He will have lot of people along with him, lot of very peace-minded people. He will be associated with a lot of peaceful and relaxed kind of people, and that is one of the results of the Grahamalika Yoga. What is the other result? What are the Aurora padas that are in Cancer? What are the Aurora padas that are owned by moon? A9 and A8. What does A9 stand for?
Dharma, religion.
This is the pada of dharma. So that is the religious practices. This is the religion. These are the religious rituals and practices that you follow, which are very tangible. Like I said earlier, Aurora padas are always tangible things. If you take the 9th house, it is just your dharma. When you say your dharma, it is what you feel. It is not something that other people can see. But if I, as a part of practicing my dharma, if I do a particular ritual or something, or if I join a particular organization, if I go to Kanchi and if I stay with Shankaracharya, or if I join a particular group, if I join some ashram, that is something that people can see. It is a tangible thing. So that kind of things, which are tangible manifestations of following dharma, are seen from A9. So moon is the lord of A9 and he is in a trine from A9. Moon is in a trine from Cancer. Whenever you see the lord of an Aurora pada in a trine from that own sign, he basically protects that sign. From any Aurora pada, the 9th from there is his protection. And when the lord of the sign itself is in the 9th from it, he will be protecting it very well. So A9 is protected by moon, and what is the other Aurora pada? What does AI stand for?
Longevity.
8 is Mrityusthana, but it is also occult. 8 is the sign of sadhana. It is the sign of occult knowledge. 8th house is the sign of occult knowledge and sadhana of things that you cannot see. It is the sadhana, tapasya, pursuit of things that are not visible or very tough to know. That are basically spiritual pursuit, basically. Not through religious rituals, but through understanding, through tapasya. So both of them are together. A9 and A8 are together, and the Lord is moon and he is in a trine from it. So the culmination of the Grahamalika will be as a result of finding his spiritual root. What he will do is, he will engage in a particular spiritual order, a proper religious order. He will be engaged in all the rituals, etc. He will be engaged with a particular organization or institute or an ashrama or something of that nature, and he will also be engaged in occult pursuit and sadhana at that place. So that is something that will happen in Moon Dasha. And Moon Dasha is a long way to go, so we don't have to worry about it now. But in Moon Dasha, it is very likely that Moon will give the result of being the Grahamalka Yoga culminator and being the Lord of A9 and A8. You will get those results in the Moon Dasha. But for now, the important part is to give importance to your own spirituality and let it grow. If you hamper it, it will just grow by troubling you. On the other hand, if you go with the flow, then there will not be any destruction or any sad development, basically. So that is the result of Grahamalka Yoga. And now, to be back to Drakana, actually we don't have to be back to Drakana, we finished the Drakana. So that is the only thing I wanted to add on top of what I said in the last class is, if you take the fourth from Upada, that will show mother-in-law. Okay. Now, let us take a political chart. Let us take the chart of John Kerry. The problem with John Kerry's chart is, let us just see his career, etc. Let's see how we time the events. And the problem with John Kerry's chart is, unlike George Bush's chart, the time is not clearly known. In the case of George Bush, the time is known from the hospital records. The time given is 7:26 a.m. But based on my rectification, I believe that it should be 7:30. But at least we know the time. We have a good starting point. In the case of John Kerry, there are three totally different times. Two times with which you get Scorpio Lagna and one time with which you get Leo Lagna. So we don't even know what is the correct time. There are three totally different birth times. It's not like this time plus or minus 5 minutes. It is this time or 2 hours later or 10 hours later. That is the kind of times that we are given. And one astrologer, one Vedic astrologer claims that she met John Kerry on a train and he gave her a particular time personally. But when we looked at the chart, it did not really explain things at all. On the other hand, there is one time given on Western astrological sites, which is apparently from his mother. His mother remembered the time. She said around sunrise time he was born, and his sister-in-law apparently said he was born at 8:03. So the time that when Sanjayji was here, Pandit Sanjay Raj, he and I took a look at all three charts that were available, and based on the limited study that we have done, one chart really seemed like a good candidate, and we rectified that time. The time given is 8:03, but we rectified the time to 8:08. So we are going to take a look at that chart and see if it makes sense. Okay, the data is, for those who are listening to the audio, the data is December 11, 1943, 8:08 a.m. The original time given on Lois Rodden's Astro Data Bank site, www.astrodatabank.com, a popular website maintained by Lois Rodden, who does research into all the birth times. The time is 8:03 a.m. and the time rectified by us is 8:08 a.m. And the place of birth is Aurora, Colorado, USA. This is not exact, this is approximate. He was born in a military base near this place, but it is Aurora, Colorado, 104 west 59, 104 degrees 59 minutes 3 seconds west, and 39 degrees 44 minutes 21 seconds north. And the time zone is 6 hours west of GMT. So this is the chart of US Senator John Kerry, the presidential candidate. So if we look at, let us first start with Navamsha. How many of you know the events in his life? If you don't know all the timings of various events in his life, then try to guess it, because I know all the times, because I have worked on this chart. It is good that most of you don't know when he was married, when he was divorced, when he became senator, when he became lieutenant governor, etc. So let us try to guess. And the dasha that we want to use is not Vinshotri dasha. There are several conditional dashas. If you go to Jagannath Hora, if you open, see there are 3 tabs: Adar dashas, Rashi dashas and Nakshatra dashas. If you click the menu on Nakshatra dasha, you will see, apart from Vinshotri dasha, you will see so many dashas listed here. All these are Nakshatra dashas that are alternatives to Vinshotri dasha that were taught by Parashara. Vinshotri dasha is a dasha that applies to everybody. But if you apply the dasha that is applicable to a person, a special conditional dasha that is applicable to a particular individual, you will get far more consistent results, much better results. So whenever a particular dasha is applicable, it is a good idea to go to that dasha rather than Vimshottari dasha. And if you see, if you open any chart, there is help here. If you look at the chart at the top in the software, I have given the applicability condition. So for example, here it is applicable for daytime births in Sun's hora and nighttime births. There is a particular condition. If you take, for example, Shashti Hayani dasha, it is applicable if Sun is in Lagna. Is Sun in Lagna here?
Yeah.
Yes. So this dasha is applicable. And there is another dasha actually, which is more applicable. There is a dasha called Dvisaptati Samadasha. This is a dasha where the total period is not 120 years but 72 years. And this dasha is applicable. What is the condition? Can somebody read it?
Lagna Lord is in 7th and 7th Lord is in Lagna.
Yes. Is the Lagna Lord in 7th or the 7th Lord in Lagna here? Who is Lagna Lord in the Rashi chart? Mars. Where is he?
He is in 7th house.
He is in
7th house.
7th house. Okay. So is this dasha applicable? Is this dasha applicable
Yes.
to this person? And you will actually find that not only in Rashi chart, the condition given by Parashara is only for Rashi chart, but you will see that in Navamsa, the 7th Lord Sun is in
Sir.
Lagna. So 7th Lord is in Lagna in Navamsa. You look at Dashamsa, the Lagna Lord Jupiter is in 7th house. So the condition given by Parashara, Lagna Lord being in 7th or 7th Lord being in Lagna, is satisfied in Rashi, Navamsa and Dashamsa, 3 different charts. And what that shows is 7th house is the house of desires. If Lagna Lord is in 7th or 7th Lord is in Lagna, usually that shows somebody who has strong desires and whose life is based on pursuing those desires. And this dasha throws light on how that person pursues those desires. That is what this dasha throws light on. And if you see, as in this case, that condition is satisfied in other divisional charts also, important divisional charts like Navamsa and Dashamsa, the criterion is very strong. This person is really somebody of strong desires, a pursuer of really strong desires. So you can conclude that even if the condition is in Rashi, that is enough, I said. But the fact that this condition is present in Navamsa as well as Dashamsa, you can conclude that the condition is very strongly applicable. So this dasha is extremely strongly applicable to this native. So you will get very good results by taking this particular dasha. You can look at your own chart. You can look at all the conditional dashas, especially the dashas in this area, from Dvisaptati Samadasha up to Shashti Hayani dasha. If you look at the conditions of these dashas, see if any of these are applicable for you. If some of them are applicable for you, you can use that dasha. And when there are multiple dashas applicable, take the dasha that has the highest number of years. For example, Dvisaptati Samadasha is 72 years. Shatrincha Samadasha is 36 years. Dvadashottari dasha is 112 years. Chaturasiti Samadasha is 80 years. Actually 84. Chaturasiti. So 84 years. So like that, when there are multiple dashas, look at the one that has higher number. Apply that dasha. And apart from that, there are some dashas where the condition is very weak. In other words, if you look at, for example, Shatrincha Samadasha, what this says is, it is applicable for daytime births in Sun's hora and nighttime births in Moon's hora. So that means you see whether Lagna is in Sun's hora or Moon's hora in the hora chart. And the time of birth, is it in daytime or nighttime? So based on, if somebody was born in daytime birth in Sun's hora, then this dasha is applicable. So what is the probability that this dasha is applicable?
Almost.
See, half the time, people are, if daytime is basically half the time, and out of it half the time Lagna is in Sun's hora, half the time it is in Moon's hora, because those are the only 2 horas. So during the daytime, half of the daytime this condition is applicable, and during the night time again half of the time this condition is applicable. Night time.
You are not
I thought it was
only 1 hour, right? Those 4 hours.
No, this is not that hora.
then
This is in the hora chart. When you find the hora chart, planets are either in Sun's hora or Moon's hora. That is the hora that we are talking about. We are talking about the hora chart, D2.
or D2.
Yeah. The rule is, if you take an odd sign, The first half of the earth sign is sun's hora and the second half is moon's hora. On the other hand, if you take even signs, the first half is moon's hora and the second half is sun's hora. In other words, take the oddity of the sign. Odd basically is ruled by sun, even is basically ruled by moon. So in odd signs, sun's hora comes first and then moon's hora. In even signs, because even is moon's nature, even is female nature and that is moon's nature, moon's hora comes first and then sun's hora. For example, let us look at this example. Lagna is it in an even sign or odd sign? Lagna is at 24 degrees Scorpio. Is that an even sign or odd sign? Scorpio is an even sign. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is an even number. So,
But it is a daytime, right?
forget the daytime. First let us find the hora. Is it sun's hora or moon's hora? So, it is an even sign. And is it in the first half of Scorpio or second half of Scorpio? Look at the degrees. 24 degrees. It is after 15 degrees. So, it is in the second half of an even sign. What does it mean? In an even sign, because even sign is female nature, moon comes first. So, the first hora, first half is moon's hora. And this is second half. So, whose hora is it? Sun's hora. So, he was born in sun's hora. And was he born in daytime or night time? Look at the sunrise time. Don't say daytime. Look at the sunrise. Sunrise was at 8:15. So, this is actually night time.
Night.
Sunrise was that late?
Yeah.
It's December, right? It can happen. December.
Yeah. So, he was born during the night time. When you look at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, don't jump to the conclusion that it is daytime. It can be night time. It depends on sunrise. So, here, pardon me?
6 minutes difference.
Yeah. But the point actually I was going to make is, suppose it is applicable. Suppose he was born in daytime. And suppose, because he was born in daytime and sun's hora, let us say this condition is applicable. But the point I am making is, this condition is applicable for half the people. A dasha like Ashtotri dasha or Shatrimsha Samadasha, which are based on a very generic rule like this, generic condition like this, based on daytime birth or Krishna Paksha birth or sun's hora birth, these conditions, these are more generic. So, these are applicable for half the people. So, if you see in somebody's chart that a dasha like this is applicable and a dasha like Visaptati Samadasha is applicable, then don't go by the years. Even if the dasha that is more generic has more years, still it is more generic. Compared to that, something like a dasha lord, lagna lord being in 7th or 7th lord being in lagna, what is the probability of that? It is 1/6. The probability of lagna lord being in 7th house or 7th lord being in lagna is half plus half, 1/6 plus 1/6, no, 112 plus 112 minus 1 over 144. If you think that they are independent events, pardon me?
What is 144?
Okay. Based on probability theory, if A and B are two events, probability of A or B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B, right? That is a theory. And probability of A and B is probability of A times probability of B, assuming that A and B are independent events. Here Lagna Lord being in 7th and 7th Lord being in Lagna are basically independent, almost independent, not exactly, but the probability is almost the same as independent probability. So, the probability is 1 over 12 times 1 over 12. So, theoretically exact probability is 1 over 12, almost exact probability is 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12 minus 1 over 144, minus 1 over 144, yeah. So, that is almost equal to 1 over 6. So, that is far less likely. It happens only in 16% of the cases, not in 50% of the cases. So, give more importance to that condition.
Let me ask you this, now when you deduct the last one, what are you telling me? If the 7th lord
Yeah.
is in Lagna, and
Or the Lagna Lord is in
well,
7th.
if the Lagna lord is in the 7th, then that case is excluded from this. Because let's say you said or, but if there was the and case,
Yeah.
what happens then? It's still applicable.
It is still applicable.
Then why did you deduct the probability of
That is probability theory. I did probability of A or B.
Right, I know, but if you just said A and or B, then the whole thing gets included. 1/6 of that.
See, the thing is, when you do, if you go back to intermediate textbooks, if you look at probability, let us say A is this circle and B is this circle. PA includes this case and this case, only A and A and B. And PB includes only B and A and B. So, you included A and B twice.
The intersection is twice.
So, you remove the intersection once, then you get exactly only A or only B or both. So, you are covering all the three. So this is PA union B equals PA plus PB minus PA intersection B. Is a standard probability. Yeah, this is a standard deduction. I was just using the formula to roughly gauge how likely this condition is, right?
We shouldn't use the starting like this.
Anyway, so the bottom line is that is a more unlikely condition. There is a rarer condition than a condition like daytime birth in sun's hora or nighttime birth in moon's hora. So this is a more frequent. This is half the time applicable. So give more importance to those dashas. So to go back, the dasha that is applicable in this particular case is Risapta Disama dasha, because Lagna Lord is in 7th, Mars is in the 7th house. Now, let us apply this dasha. Let us look at the Navamsha, okay, and look at the dashas. Can somebody tell me when he got married? When did he get married? What is the house you see for marriage? What is the chart you see for marriage? Navamsha, excellent. What is the house you see for marriage? 7th house and 1st house, right? So these are the important houses. So is there any planet that really stands out?
Sun.
Moon is in the 7th house, but is Moon capable of giving marriage? See, his point is, Sun is the 7th lord, so he can give marriage. Moon is in the 7th house, so he can give marriage. But what house does Moon own? Moon owns the 6th house. 6th house is it the house of marriage or house of separation? It is the house of quarreling, it is the house of even separation, because it is the 12th from 7th. 60 is nothing but the 12th from 7th. So it is the loss of marriage, loss of partnership, loss of relationship, loss of companionship. So it is basically the house of separation, divorce, and also the house of quarreling, fighting, etc. So that Lord Moon being in the 7th house is inauspicious. So Moon is not the planet, even though he is in the 7th house, he is not the planet who will give marriage, but he may give divorce or separation. That is what Moon will give. So whose dasha is likely to give marriage? Sun dasha. When did Sun dasha come? 1970. And do you know when he got married? His first marriage. I am talking about his first marriage. Not to Theresa Heinz Kerry, but to, I forgot the name, but he had a first wife. Do you know when he got married? He got married in early 1970, I think, May, if I remember right. He got married in the May of 1970. And does it make sense? So, basically so far the dasha and the Navamsha chart, do they fit? Yeah. He got married in Sun dasha, Sun Antar dasha, which is quite likely, because Sun is the 7th lord and he is in the Lagna. So Sun dasha, Sun Antar dasha is a perfect candidate for giving wedding, giving marriage.
What about, do you also look at Upapada and Narasimha?
Yeah, you can look at the Upada also. You can look at the Upada also, but the key is, especially when you are looking at Narayan dasha of Rasi chart, Upada of the Rasi chart is very vital. But this is basically, this is the Navamsha is the key. And even if you look at the Rasi chart Upada, the 2nd house from there is Leo. The 2nd lord is Sun, so he is the bringer of marriage. The 2nd lord from Upada is the bringer of marriage. So that is why we tell people when they are not getting married to fast on the day of the Upada Lord, and then at the end of the fasting pray to the 2nd Lord of Upada. So you will say, if you want to tell him to pray to a particular god, it has to be based on Sun, because he is the 7th Lord. He is the bringer of marriage. Yeah, 2nd Lord from Upada. Rasi chart UL is basically your giving, your physically what you are giving. 12th house is the house of giving. 12th house in Rasi chart is physically what you are giving. Upada is the manifestation of that giving. And marriage, the marital relationship, is basically you are giving up your identity as an individual person, and you are walking into a bond where both of you are giving up your own independence and your own certain freedoms for the good of the society, for the good of your own kula, for the good of your own family and lineage. So Upada in Rasi chart shows the marriage. What Upada in Navamsha shows, that also shows another aspect of the marriage, but let us leave that for now. If you want to see marriage, you can focus on the Upada in Rasi chart and the 7th house in Navamsha chart. 7th house in Rasi chart shows all your relationships, not just limited to your marital life. But the 7th in Navamsha is specifically your spouse. So Sun will give marriage. Now, once the moon dasha starts, is it good news or bad news for marriage?
Bad news. He's the one that's going to
Pardon me?
He's going to start a divorce.
Yeah, he is the one who will give separation. And do you know when they were separated? If I remember correctly, they were separated in Moon Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha. 1982-83 time frame. I think 83 May or so. So that is when they were separated. They started living separately. They did not get a formal divorce, but they started living separately during that time. And does it make sense?
Jupiter.
Why Jupiter? Yeah, that's my question. You don't ask questions, you answer. I ask questions.
No, I'm asking myself.
Okay. Okay, seventh house is the house of marriage, right? Now, what are the dusthanas from it? What are the problem houses from it? The 6, 8 and 12 from it, right?
Yeah.
And mainly, who owns the 8th from 7th house? 7th is the marriage and 8 is the break of that marriage. And who owns the 8th from 7th? Jupiter. So remember this, always the second house is the 8th from 7th. So second house is problematic for marriage. Any planet owning or occupying or aspecting the 7th, aspecting the second in Navamsa, it can try to cut off the marriage. It can try to bring separation in the marriage. And the second dusthana from 7th is 12th. 12th house from the 7th is 6th house. So second and 6th are very problematic houses, and of course 12th house. 12th house is nothing but 6th house from 7th house. But that can show only quarrels, etc. More than that, these two houses are the houses that bring an end in the marriage. So Jupiter and Moon are the owners of those two houses, owners of the second and 6th houses. So those two planets can bring an end in the marriage. And it was in Moon Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha, that he started focusing on his political career, and his wife was frustrated with the political career and she walked away from him. That was in Moon Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha. And do you know when he met Theresa Heinz Kerry? Okay. Do you know which house will show the second marriage?
8
from 7.
8th from the 7th. If you want to see the second marriage, take the 8th from 7th. So 7th is Leo, 8th is Pisces. So Pisces will show the second marriage. And who are the planets who are occupying it? There are no planets. Who owns it? Jupiter. Who aspect it?
Mars.
Mars has an aspect on it. Mars is aspecting the second house. So can Mars Dasha give second marriage? Can Mars Dasha give second marriage? Yes. Mars Dasha did give the second marriage. And I don't remember the exact dates when he met her, when he started dating her, etc. But I forgot the exact date, but it was indeed in the Mars Dasha that he got married. Now let us look at Saptamsa. In Saptamsa, can he have children? One rule that you have to remember is Mercury and Saturn. They are the Napunsaka planets. They are the eunuch planets, Mercury and Saturn. If you find those planets in trines from Saptamsa Lagna, the person may not have children. Especially if Venus, Mercury and Saturn, all the three are in trines, the person will not have children. Jayalalitha's chart is an example. Jayalalitha, Jairam, she has that combination. Venus, Mercury and Saturn in trines in Saptamsa Lagna denies the person children. And just Mercury and Saturn in trines is also capable of denying. It's not conclusive like Venus, when Venus is also there, but it is capable of denying children. And here, Mercury and Saturn are in trines with an exchange. They are very strong. They are exchanging the houses. 5th Lord in 9th, 9th Lord in 5th. So can this person have children? Unlikely, based on Mercury and Saturn. But forget Jupiter. We are focusing on trines now. There is a third trine which is occupied by planets, and the planets are Sun and Ketu. Sun and Ketu are breaking the trinal placement of Mercury and Saturn. Because Sun and Ketu are in Lagna, they will give children. Sun likes to give children. He likes to promote the Vansha, promote the family and lineage. And what about Ketu? Is he auspicious for family matters, children matters? He does stop after you get certain number of children. when you encounter Ketu, he can stop children. But when you don't have any children at all, Ketu wants to give children. Ketu wants people to just get some children and then go towards moksha. He is in a hurry for the person to go to moksha. So he wants people to get children. And more importantly, Ketu is the planet of parampara. He is the planet of continuity. Ketu likes continuity. He likes parampara. Whether it is in the matter of children or in the matter of students, in the matter of a spiritual lineage, whichever you are talking about, Ketu is the planet of continuity. So, when that sun is with Ketu, it is not inauspicious. Don't think that sun is with an enemy. In this particular matter, in the matter of giving children, both have the same agenda and they are impacting the Lagna. Lagna is the seed of your existence or Keri's existence. Saptamsa Lagna is the seed of his existence as far as children are concerned. So that sun with Ketu in Lagna, he will make, he basically his agenda is only one, give children. Deny Mercury and Saturn their agenda of stopping children. So, Mercury and Saturn can do nothing but listen to sun. So, basically he got children during Sun Dasha, who is in the Lagna in Saptamsa. Because he is in Saptamsa Lagna, he gave children during that time. Because he is in Navamsa Lagna, he gave marriage. Similarly, because he is in Saptamsa Lagna, he gave children. Lagna is basically your very existence from the point of view of children. So, that existence was benefited in Sun Dasha. He basically had children. And he had interaction with children, he played with children, he taught children, all those things, he had fun with children, all those things were given by sun. And if you actually look at the exact dates, I forgot the dates, but I went to a site where there was whole birth data of Keri, and if you look at the exact dates when his daughters, two daughters were born, the one was born in Mercury Antardasha and the other one was born in Saturn Antardasha. And I will not go into the details, but you will see that they are the planets in trines. But if you work out the lagnas of the two children, you will see how Mercury and Saturn fit. So you can take that as a homework and also explain the sex. Tell me why he had two daughters, not son and daughter or son and son or daughter and son. He had two daughters. This Saptamsa explains it very well, but it is a little bit tricky. So I want you to try it yourself and find out.
No, from his second marriage,
Yeah.
he inherited two sons.
Yeah, that is tough to see in a Saptamsa. In Saptamsa, you only see your children. After he got married to a second wife, if he got children again, that you can see.
Okay.
If he has his own children, that you can see. How you see is, from Lagna, the 7th house is the house of relationship. And the 11th from that is the fruits of, the gains from that relationship. So that will show the children. So the first child is seen from the 5th house, because it is the 11th from 7th. That is why 5th house is the house of children. Now, what is the house of second wife? It is not 7th anymore. What is the house of second wife? It is second. We saw it in Navamsa. The same applies here. So the second house, Scorpio, will show the second wife. Now the fruits of that relationship will be from the 11th from Scorpio. So it is the 12th house. Okay. So take that house, and from that you see whether you see the children. So that is how you see children from the second spouse. Let us go to his Dvadashamsha.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Vimshotri Dasa is, you said, Nakshatra Dasa based on moon.
Same with Visapta Samadasa.
Is also based on
It is a Nakshatra Dasha. All the Dashas that I showed under Nakshatra Dashas, under the tab Nakshatra Dashas, are Nakshatra Dashas. They are all based on moon's Nakshatra, but based on different progressions.
progressions of.
If this is the Nakshatra, when you are born, this planet is ruling your life, then this planet, that progression of the planets, which planet rules over which Nakshatra, all those ownerships, etc., and how many years for each planet, all those things are changing from one Dasha to another Dasha. So based on certain important focuses in different people's lives, based on the change in the focus, a different kind of Dasha scheme will apply more. That throws light on that particular focus more. And in the case of Dvisatya Samadasha, the focus is strong desires and pursuit of those desires. That is the focus of the person. And this shows how those strong desires are focused.
So the Vimshotri still applies.
It's still applicable. It is still applicable, but Vimshotri shows how you are feeling. And this shows how you are feeling with respect to your pursuit of desires. So when he got married, when he got children, when he became senator, when he is running for president, All this he will look at it from the point of view of pursuit of desires. That is how his mind looks at things. So when you are focusing on that aspect, you will get far better results than just looking at how he is taking things. Vimshyoti Dasa shows how he is taking things, how he is looking at things that are happening in his life. And this shows how he is looking at things that are happening in his life from the point of view of his desires, pursuit of desires.
And the desires have been satisfied because you're seeing results. They got married.
Yes, exactly.
The desires have been fulfilled.
Right. In another chart, the focus may be his career, his karma. That may be the focus. So whatever he does is from that angle. So we'll probably see an example of some other divisional chart, some other conditional dasa later. But the thing that you can remember for now is Vimshyoti Dasa still applies. But if you try to see from it, it will not be as clear. If there is a conditional dasa that is applicable, that will show things much clearer. That is the bottom line. Okay. Now if you look at the Dvadashamsa of the person, what does Dvadashamsa show?
They want to stop.
Yes, good idea. What does the Dvadashamsa show? Parents, right? What is the house that shows father? Ninth house. And for father, you don't take the ninth lord and see where he is. You just take the ninth house itself, and that is father. There is a difference between siblings and children and father. In Saptamsa and Rekana, it is one scheme, but in Navamsa and Dvadashamsa, the scheme is different. So, if you look at Dvadashamsa, the ninth house is Aries. So, you take Aries as Lagna, and using that, you can try to judge, make some judgments about his father. What is the career of father? Can you guess the career of father? Which house do you see for that? The 10th house. Who is in the 10th house? Rahu. And first of all, was he in service or was he a businessman? Take the 6th and 7th from his father. From Aries, take the 6th house. Virgo with Jupiter and Sun. And second is Libra with no planets. So is he likely to be in service or is he likely to be in business? He is very likely to be in service. What kind of service? If Sun is in the 6th house, it is likely to be political, government, yes, government kind of service. So because of Jupiter and Sun there, it is a very respected government service. And secondly, look at the 10th house. Excuse me. Who is the planet in the 10th house?
Rahu.
What kind of career does Rahu give? Do you know who he was? You are just guessing? Very good. Excellent. Yes. Rahu shows diplomacy. Rahu is basically the cheat. He is on the negative side, he is somebody who cheats people, who shocks people, who goes around bombing people.
But diplomacy is exactly opposite of that whole.
No, it is not. It is not. It is not. On the positive side, same cheating. When you do it nicely, it is diplomacy. Diplomacy is nothing but cheating. Sugar-coated cheating.
I think I'll have to debate this at some point. It's not to harm the other person, but get the job done. That's diplomacy, hopefully.
No. Rahu is not for bombing. That is one aspect. Rahu is for cheating. And cheating can be done either through fighting and bombing or sweetly. Either way, cheating is Rahu. Rahu is the planet of cheating. So diplomacy, Rahu also shows diplomacy when he is strong. Is Rahu strong here?
Yes.
Yeah. He is in a friend sign. He is in a friendly sign. Saturn is a friend of Rahu. So he is quite strong there. And Saturn and Capricorn is also the sign of Kali Yuga, like I said. So this is something, when you see Rahu in the 7th, in Capricorn, in the 10th house, this is something very typical of Kali Yuga. This is a Rahu career, which is very typical of Kali Yuga, very Kali-like career. So diplomacy is possible. But the important thing is, two very diplomatic planets, Venus and Sun, Venus and Moon, very sweet Jalatattva planets. Jalatattva is important for diplomacy. Fluidity. Diplomacy requires fluidity, not fire. If there is Agni, then that's not diplomacy, that is war. Diplomacy is Jalatattva in nature, very fluid like water. So two fluid planets, Jalatattva planets, Venus and Moon, have an Argala and Rahu. Without that Argala, Rahu may have given another kind of career. But because the planet is Rahu, who can show diplomacy, and because two Jalatattva planets, Venus and Moon, have Argala and Rahu, he will end up giving diplomacy. So his father was a diplomat. He was also a pilot, and sun can also make somebody a pilot. Sun, especially when he has Ketu's influence, he can make somebody a pilot. Sun is the planet of flying. Sun also shows birds. When you see Navamsha, if you see Pranapada Lagna in Navamsha, I said earlier that moon has to be either in trines or in seventh from Pranapada Lagna for human beings. For birds, it is sun. Sun has to be either in trines or seventh from Pranapada Lagna in Navamsha for a living being to be a bird. Sun is the Karaka for birds. Ketu is the Karaka for fish. Similarly, Venus is the Karaka for horses. And there are different planets. Can somebody guess who is the Karaka for pigs? Rahu. Very good. Anyway, going back to the main point here. So, Sun is the Karaka for birds, and Sun, when he influences the house of career, he can actually make somebody a pilot, especially when Ketu's influence is there. And here Sun is in the house of service, and Ketu has Argala on Sun. So, this person can be a pilot, and he was a fighter pilot. So, his father was a fighter pilot for a short while, I think during World War II, and after that he became a diplomat. He was a career diplomat who lived in several European countries. I think Kerry went to Switzerland when he was very young with his father, because his father was stationed there. And now look at the 11th house. 11th house of friends and gains. There are two planets, Venus and Moon. I don't know how many of you came for Pandit Sanjay's class. He mentioned something about Venus and Moon being together. What did he say?
Poetry and romance.
Poetry and romance, okay, but he said something else about Venus and Moon being together. He said that is very wealthy. That is basically a yoga for great wealth. Venus and Moon together is a yoga for great wealth. And here this is not his father's yoga. They are in the 11th house. So that means his father can be wealthy, and more importantly his father will be associated with wealthy man. Because Venus and Moon are in the 11th house, his friends will be very wealthy. What that means is, if you see in somebody's chart, the 11th house having Venus and Moon, he will be associated, he will be moving in circles, social circles that are very, very rich. So his father was moving with very wealthy people, very aristocratic people, etc. So that is possible. If he was a diplomat, he will be moving in those circles, those social circles, very, very upwardly mobile social circles. That is what Venus and Moon in the 11th house shows. So basically his father's diplomacy, all those things kind of make sense. They make pretty good sense. Let us go to Dashamsha. Dashamsha is the chart of career. Right? Now, let us trace his career. First, Rahu Dasha. During Rahu Dasha, what kind of career is possible? First, service or business? Rahu is in the 6th house of service. So, during Rahu Dasha, will he be in service or will he be in business? He will be in service. What kind of service can Rahu give? We said earlier, Rahu is basically, he gives shock or he cheats. So we said on one side, when there are Jaratatva influences, we said that can be diplomacy. When there is lot of fiery influence, it can also be somebody who goes and bombs. Both are possible with Rahu. And here Rahu is in Leo, a fiery sign. And not only is he in the 6th house, but he has Grahadrishti on the 10th house. So Rahu has a desire to give him work in the society, which is of Rahu's nature. And both Sagittarius 10th house and Leo, both are Agni Tattva Rasis. And another thing is Mars, another planet, a planet of war, another fiery planet, Agni Tattva planet. He has Grahadrishti on Sagittarius. Because the planet of war, Mars, has Grahadrishti on Sagittarius, and because Rahu has Grahadrishti on Sagittarius, both of them are capable of influencing his career. Rahu has a desire, Mars has a desire to influence his career in the direction of bombing people, in the direction of killing people. And during Rahu Dasha, he volunteered into the US Army. He went into Vietnam. In case, for those of you who don't know, he was a fighter. He was a soldier in the Vietnam. Was he in the army or navy?
He was in the army.
He was in the army. Okay, I don't exactly know the details, but he was in the army. And
Question I have is,
Yes.
if in Rahu and Mars, they don't get along.
Yeah.
But they both
But when it comes to the purpose of killing people, they get along well.
get along.
Yeah. Just like Sun and Ketu, they don't get along well. Ketu causes eclipse of Sun. But when it comes to continuity of lineage, it is their agenda, so they work together. Similarly, Mars and Rahu, because of their Grahadrishti and Sagittarius, they get along well in this particular matter. So, excuse me. So, during Rahu Dasha, he was a fighter. And can you guess what happened as soon as Sun Dasha came? Will Sun make him fight? Is Sun... First of all, let us answer this. Will Sun give him service or will Sun give him business? Sun is still the 6th house lord. So, still he will give him service. But Sun in Lagna, what is the result for Sun in Lagna? First thing is, politics, political career can be started at that time. And secondly, I said in the last class, if Sun is in a trine from Lagna, what did I say about that? That person will be very idealistic. Sun in Lagna means, not Lagna, Sun in any trine from Lagna means the person will be idealistic. And here Sun is in Lagna. So, will he be very idealistic? What kind of ideals will Sun in Lagna give here? It depends on the nature of the sign Sun is in. What is the nature of the sign that Sun occupies? Pisces. What is the nature of the sign?
Watery sign, peaceful.
It is a sign of peace. So, Sun in Pisces in Lagna, he will make him very idealistic and relating to peace. So, he started his political career as a peace activist. In Sandasya, he started his political career as a peace activist, not as a war activist. So, that is what Sun in Pisces will show. It has?
18.
Yes, it has 18, Rajapada also. But that is a good point. So, definitely during that time, career will take off. This is a very important period for the career of the person. And later, he did, we will go to his D24 later, the chart of studies, and see when he did his studies. But he went back to school. After he came back from Vietnam, he came back sometime in the first week, I think, of April, or third week of April. He came back in April 1970. Very soon after Sandasya started, he came back from Vietnam, and then, that is right. And in 1971, I think, he was called by the Senate. He was the first person who fought in Vietnam who gave a hearing at the Senate, who was called for Senate hearing, the first Vietnam veteran to be called in the Senate, and he gave a testimony at the Senate, and he said war was bad, atrocities were being done. He basically gave all his anti-war statements at that time, and he ran for office. When did he run for office? I think it was in 1972, end of 1972. He ran for a congressional office in Mass on anti-war plank. He basically he got together with some friends, some other anti-war activists, and then he decided to run for a Congress seat, and he lost. And that was during Sandasya, Mars Antardasya. Is Mars likely to give him political success? What are the houses for political success? What are the houses for the following? 5th house. The 10th house of career and 5th house of following. And the 5th house is here, Cancer. And Mars is in the 12th from it. He is in the house of losses from it. So, is Mars capable of giving him political following? No. He lost badly. He did not win. And then his political ambitions took a back seat. And then, by the way, another interesting thing. You know when he was called for his testimony at the Senate? It was in Moon Antardasya. It was in Sun that he came back and he started his political activism, and it was in Sun Moon Antardasya in 1971 that he was called on the Senate floor to give his testimony. So, during Moon Antardasya, Moon is the 5th lord, if you see. Moon is the 5th lord in the 7th house with Lagna lord. Do you remember that Lagna lord and 5th lord being together is a great Rajoga? In general, any quadrant lord and trine lord being together is a Rajoga. But in particular, Parashara outlined that Lagna lord and 5th lord being together is a Maharaj Yoga. It is a very good Rajoga. So, Moon is a planet who gives Rajoga in this chart. He is the one who gives recognition, fame, following and success. So and also moon is the planet of peace. He is with Jupiter and he is aspecting sun. So it was in moon antardasha that he went on the Senate floor and he got some popularity in some circles. And it was on account of that popularity that he wanted to run for Congress, but he did not succeed. And then he went back to school. We'll see D24 and time those things later if we have time. But to continue the discussion on Dashamsha, after he came back, he started working. He I think in 1975 or so he came back and he started working as a lawyer, as a prosecutor. He was working for the district attorney office and he was a government prosecutor. And first of all, Sun can give a career in service, in government service, and can he give service as a lawyer? Does Sun have any influences on him to show service as a lawyer? Is it possible at all?
Jupiter is aspect.
Who is the planet? Yes. Who is the planet who controls law? Who is the planet for lawyers? Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet for law. Yeah. And here, Sun is in a house of Jupiter and Jupiter is aspecting him. So, career as a lawyer is definitely possible. Career as a lawyer is definitely possible. So, I believe that it was in 1975, could be 1976, but I believe it was 1975, around the Jupiter Antardasha, Sun Jupiter Antardasha, that he started working as a lawyer, in the district attorney office. And then, Sun Dasha ended. In 1979, Moon Dasha started. What is the first thing that you will say about Moon Dasha? Yes, good. There is Gajakesari Yoga given by Moon and Jupiter together, which gives lasting fame. Basically, lasting fame doesn't necessarily mean fame for 1,000 years, like in the case of Sri Rama, but it is something that will make the person well known. The results of that dasha will last for the whole life. That is Gajakesari Yoga, and sometimes even beyond life. Gajakesari Yoga will give long-lasting fame, long-lasting name. And not only that, but we identified the Maharaj Yoga given by Moon and Jupiter already, Lagna and 5th Lord, right? And apart from that, where is Moon placed? 7th house. Is he going to give a break-in service? Moon is in the 2nd house from 6th house, 2nd house of Maraka Sthana from the 6th house. And more importantly, what does 7th house show? Does it show strong desires and own ventures rather than working for somebody? Yes. Moon Dasha, because Moon is the Karaka of desires and he is in the house of desires, Moon Dasha is extremely likely to give him very strong desires. All the strong desires that he always had will come to the front, will come to the fore of his life during Moon Dasha. And can Moon give business also? Is there a chance that Moon will give a business? Yeah, being in the 7th house, he can give business. What kind of business will he give? Moon is with, who is Moon with? Jupiter. So what kind of business will it be? Law firm. If Moon is with Jupiter, see, there are different planets can give different kinds of businesses. Jupiter can show law business. So because this Moon is with Jupiter, he will give those results and he will give a law business. So it was sometime, I think in the March or April of 1979, that he resigned his job in the district attorney's office and he started his own law firm with another former prosecutor, with a friend. He started a company, he started his own law practice and he made a lot of money. In the next couple of years, as a practitioner, as an independent practitioner of law, he made a lot of money. And that is very clearly seen from the fact that Moon is with Jupiter and he is in the 7th house of strong desires and business and own venture. Okay? And another thing is, forget Jupiter. If Moon is in the 7th house, if Moon shows somebody's business, do you know what kind of business Moon can give? What are the different kinds of business that Moon can give? Nursing, very good. Moon shows a nurse. So Moon can show nursing and taking care of people, nurturing. Daycare is one possibility, or being an independent nurse is one possibility. Of course he wasn't, but those are definitely possibilities. There is another possibility, another thing that is attributed to Moon in classics. If Moon is showing business in a particular chart, there is another business that Moon shows. Can anybody, don't think if Kerry had it or not, just tell me what Moon can show.
Water related.
Moon doesn't really show that. There is another thing.
Actually, something to do with public.
Inheritance?
Pardon me?
Inheritance?
Inheritance is not a moon thing.
Something artistic?
Artistic is more like Venus. There is one more thing that moon stands for. Okay, I guess you don't know. Huh?
Philosophy?
No, not really. Does moon have a connection with food, with restaurant business? Yes, one of the results, if you see somebody with moon in the 7th house and if they want to do some business, you can advise them to get into some kind of food related business. Moon is, see, we talked about nursing and nurturing, but feeding is also a part of that. So moon basically is the natural feeder. He is exalted in Taurus. He is exalted in the 2nd house of natural zodiac. In the natural zodiac, counting from Aries, Taurus is the 2nd house. That is where moon is exalted. So he enjoys, he has fun feeding people. So
Should we also give weightage to Venus then, because Venus owns that house?
yes, Venus owns that house, but he is not motherly. It is moon, he owns that house. It is his responsibility, giving wealth, giving money and feeding people. But it is moon who enjoys feeding. He is excited about feeding. That is why moon is the significator of mother. When you think of a mother, what comes to your mind? What is the main thing? When anybody thinks of a mother, what is the main thing that comes to your mind? Taking care, but especially feeding. Whenever most mothers, especially in India, when they talk to you, the thing that they are concerned about is, are you eating well? That is mother's instinct. That is moon's instinct. So moon is the natural feeder. He is the natural karaka for feeding. So if you see moon in the 7th house in somebody's chart, a standard principle in the classics is basically that person will own a hotel or restaurant, or he will supply food. So that is the standard dictum. He will deal with foods. That is the standard dictum, or food items. It can be cooked food or things related for cooking food, but basically things relating to restaurant business. And do you know, it is, I was surprised to know, I saw moon, but I didn't know this, but when I was doing research on him, I was surprised to know that in the May of 1979, he actually started a muffin shop in Quincy Market. Along with a partner, he had a muffin shop. I forgot the name, but it was something on Forbes. That was the name of the shop. That something was the maiden name of other person's mother, and Forbes is the maiden name of his mother. So they put together their mother's maiden names and they started a muffin shop in Quincy Market, and the shop ran for a long time. He had stakes in that company for around 15 or 16 years. He gave up in 1990s. Until then he has stakes in that company. So having a restaurant or a muffin shop is also possible based on moon, and that did indeed happen as soon as moon dasha came. In moon dasha, moon antardasha. As per me.
Yeah, like moon is also karaka for mother, so putting mother's name might have made it more.
It may have, there may be a link there. But as we go deeper and deeper, things become more and more unreliable. But basic things like Jupiter in 7, law business or religious business, and moon in the 7, food business or nursing business, these are basic fundamentals which always work. And now, not only that, forget the business. Moon is not only the giver of business here, being in the 7th house. He is, for God's sake, he is the giver of the greatest Raj Yoga in the chart. The greatest Raj Yoga is 1st and 5th lord together, that too giving Gajkesari Yoga. So Maharaj Yoga and Gajkesari Yoga are combined together. So it should give a great success in career. It should make him a very powerful person, a king-like person, and as a result of that he should be known for a long time. So that is what moon promises. And when do you think the peak should come? In moon Jupiter Antardasha, because it's a Raj Yoga given by moon and Jupiter. Moon Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha should give the peak, should give the main thing. Or it should, if he is not already in politics, that should take him into politics in a big way. And it was in 1982 November that he and Michael Dukakis won the gubernatorial elections, and Dukakis was the governor and he was the lieutenant governor. He ran with Dukakis, and that was the start of his political career. He struggled for a few times earlier, but he never made headway. But during those years, as lawyer, he made a lot of acquaintances, and he he became known to Dukakis, and he was chosen by Dukakis as his running partner for the gubernatorial election. And once he became lieutenant governor, that was the starting of his political career in a big way. He was a nobody, and suddenly he became a lieutenant governor, and that was in 1982 November. I mean, they were elected in 1982 November, but they took office in 1983 January. And it will be interesting to know that in the previous Antardasha, Moon Dasha, Mercury Antardasha, they won, but they won very closely. Because Mercury is the 4th lord and 7th lord, even though he is dispositor of these two planets, Mercury does not show a great Rajoga. On the other hand, Jupiter, especially more than that, within Moon Dasha, Mercury is, in which house is Mercury in from Moon? If you take the Dasha Lord as Lagna and see Antardasha Lord where he is. Where is Mercury? He is in the 8th house of tension, anxiety. So in Mercury Antardasha, there was a lot of anxiety. They were not sure if they would win. And in the primaries, before the actual election, in the democratic primaries, they barely won. They just made it. But once Jupiter Antardasha started, it was a cakewalk. They just won very easily, and he became lieutenant governor. And later, the thing is, in 1983, Venus, what house does Venus own? From Lagna, he owns the 3rd house and 8th house. 3rd house is a house of short break, and 8th house is the house of a big change in career. If you see the 8th lord in Dashansha involved, there can be some change in your career, change in job or change in the area where you work. So one of them is possible. And during this Venus Antardasha in 1983-84, he decided to give up his career as a governor. He decided to give up his career in the executive wing of government. He wanted to go into the legislative wing. And you may think that Venus is a bad planet because he owns 3rd and 8th houses. Right? From Lagna, he is a functional malefic. Do you think, is that how you think? But if you look, that can also just show a change. It doesn't have to be bad. If you look from Moon, the Dasha Lord, because don't think that all Venus Antardashas will be bad. In some Dashas, Venus Antardasha will be good. In some Dashas, it will be bad. If you take Moon, whose Dasha was running at the time as Lagna, from Moon, Venus is 2nd and 9th lord. He is a great benefit. And he is in a trine. Which trine, that too? Yeah, which house is Venus in? From Moon. From Moon, Venus is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th house of power, recognition, following. So again in Moon Dasha, Venus Antardasha, there is a scope for an important event. And that event will involve some change, because from Lagna, Venus owns 3rd and 8th house. So he will go on a short leave because of the 3rd house, and he will have a change in career. So it was in Venus Antardasha that he ran for the Senate election. In 1983, end of 1983, after this August, he announced his candidacy and he campaigned. The actual election came a little later, but during this time he took leave from his job as lieutenant governor, and he campaigned for his senatorial election, and he became a senator. So basically it was Moon Dasha that set him in his career, that basically made him get set in his political career. That is because of the Raj Yoga given by Moon. And because Moon and Jupiter are giving Gajkesari Yoga also, that Raj Yoga has continued since then. It is continuing even now. And let us not venture into making a future prediction here. Let us leave that to later. But right now he is running Mercury Dasha, Moon Antardasha. He is running Mercury Dasha, which is Mercury Dasha. Is it a good Dasha or bad Dasha? He is the 4th and 7th lord in the 2nd house. So again, normally, forget that he is running for president. If you didn't know that, what would you have predicted? He is the 7th lord. Strong desires, and also perhaps business or ventures, etc. And he is in the 2nd house, so making a lot of money.
But even the Maharaj Yoga and Gajkesari Yoga, he is the lord of that.
He is the controller of that. That is the important point. So if you ignore the Maharaj Yoga, Mercury would have just given him a nice business, lot of money, etc. But because he is the controller of the Maharaj Yoga between Moon and Jupiter, there is a chance that he will give even more than moon could give. So that is definitely a possibility, and he is running moon Antardasha right now till 2005 January.
So it's the next person,
No, I'm not saying that. That is lot of people's prediction, including Sanjay ji. Their prediction is that he will win, but based on my own study of both the charts, I am really not sure. I'm not sure. Yes.
Can you see Sthiti Pravesh?
Okay, look at the Tithi Pravesha. So, sorry, this is 2004. We want 2003 Tithi Pravesha, right? Because he was born in December. If you make 2004 Tithi Pravesha chart, it will come in 2004 December. So that will be after the elections. But the thing is, if you think that elections results will drag on, they will go to courts, and the winner will be decided in December or January, then you better look at the next year's chart. But if you want to look at this year's chart, if you believe that results will be clear on November 2nd, then this chart is enough.
What is
The Hora Lord is the ruler of the year is Mars. Mars is the ruler of the year. Now, if you look at the Tithi Ashtotri Dasha, if you look at the Dashamsha, in the Dashamsha, is Mars well placed or badly placed?
7.
Mars is in the 7th house in his own house, and he is with Saturn. Is there a Rajoga between Mars and Saturn? Mars is the 7th lord, and Saturn is 9th and 10th lord. Yeah, A5 is there. Yeah.
It's actually looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for him. Yeah. Yeah, and he is running Saturn Dasha. Yeah. Yeah. The only problem is on the day of the election, he will be running Shani Rahu. Yeah. And if you see Rahu, he is in the 8th house from Lagna, and from Shani, he is in the 2nd house. He is the 4th lord in the 2nd house, showing being robbed of sukha, basically, no comfort,
Yeah,
very anxiety. So I'm not really sure if the results will be clear on November 2nd. Yeah.
What about the swearing ceremony? Let's go to January 19th.
Yeah, that is actually more interesting, because if he on November 2nd, even if it becomes very unclear and there are some court cases, he may be still feeling like he has a Rajoga. But if he really comes to power, there should be something on 2004 January 23rd. That is the date when he will take office. So if you look at that year, the ruler of the year is Shani is the Hora Lord. Shani is the ruler of the year, and if you look at Dashamsha, the Dasha he will be running at the time of swearing in, potential swearing in, is Jupiter Dasha. And where is Jupiter? Jupiter is in Manakaraka Sthana. He is the 4th and 7th lord. He is in Manakaraka Sthana. So if you look at this 2004 Tithi Pravesha chart instead of 2003. 2003 is a great year. After all, when the year started, he was not a strong candidate for being the presidential candidate of Democrats. Howard Dean was the front runner, and he overtook Howard Dean, and he built up so much momentum. And at one point they talked about him being another Dukakis. They said that even before his campaign takes off, we will basically portray him as an ultra liberal and as a flip flopper. They said that he will be put down. But look at how much progress he has made. He is the race is so close. Either of them could win. It's a 50-50 race even today, so close to the election. So that itself is a great achievement. So if you look at 2003 annual chart, whether he wins or not, you will see a great yoga there, definitely. You will see a great yoga involving the Hora Lord. But that doesn't mean he will win on November 2nd. And the problem is to see the Antardasha and Dasha on the particular date to see whether he will win or not. It's not sufficient, because there is no guarantee that results will be clear on that day. We could have another 2000 like Goran. Yeah, there is no guarantee, so we can't. Even though Rahu's Antardasha is not auspicious on that day, still for all you know, it may just show some tension, some anxiety, and then maybe results will come out a little later. But The key will be if he,
Florida governor, so it can be seen.
if he, yeah, we can.
That is
Yeah.
not much worse than this, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it is not as simple as you see this, you put a check mark. It's like, it's not, there is not one quantity that you measure. And in the case of bush, I'll open the bush chart later, but let us see this chart. So the dasha will be Jupiter dasha, and Antardasha on the day of swearing in is Saturn dasha. So Jupiter is in Manakarka sthana, Saturn is in the 6th from Jupiter, and from Lagna he is in the 8th house. It's not very pretty. This Tithi Pravesha chart does not seem to show to me somebody who takes oath as the commander-in-chief of the most powerful nation on earth.
When Lagna changes, you will just say, bald case.
Yeah. It changes 2 minutes later. We have already rectified from 8.3 to 8.8. So it has to become 8.10. And even then Jupiter does not really show power. So it is, again, this does not mean he is not winning. There are other good factors as well. But overall, if you want to see Bush chart, if you see George Bush chart, this is the natal chart, and here there is a problem. The problem is, I and Pandit Sanjay Rath have a disagreement on his birth time. The actual time given by Lois Rodden on astrodatabank.com is 7:26. The birth data is July 6, 1946, 7:26 a.m. The time zone is 4 hours west of GMT, and the place I think is New Haven, Connecticut. It's not here, but I think it is that place. 72 degrees, 55 minutes, 43 seconds west, 41 degrees, 18 minutes, 29 seconds north. So this is the place, and the original time given is 7:26. And Sanjay ji believes that the time is accurate. He thinks that there is no need for a change in the time. And the problem I have is, if you make 2000 chart, if you make 2000 Tithi Pravesha chart, after a lot of litigation he won, if you remember.
Yeah.
And if you look at the dashas, see, during moon dasha, which is basically November and part of December, there was a lot of tension, lot of litigation, etc. And moon gave lot of litigation. And finally in Mars dasha he was elected the winner, I think on December 15. And in Mercury dasha he took oath as the commander-in-chief of USA. So moon gave litigation, Mars gave the final success, and Mercury gave the final real power. Because even after Mars made him the winner, if something happened, he may not have become the actual president. So actual swearing in was in Mercury dasha. So Mars and Mercury should definitely show their power, and moon should show that litigation, etc. And if you look at the Dashamsa Lagna here, if you look at the Dashamsa, Capricorn is the Lagna, moon is the 7th lord in Lagna, showing strong desires. And being with the 8th lord sun, he can show some anxiety, etc. But I don't really see litigation and all those worries in moon dasha. On the other hand, in Mars dasha, Mars is the 4th and 11th lord in 12th house. Even though you could argue that Badhaka lord being in the 12th house will show removal of the Badha, that is one argument. Still, I don't see victory in a great democratic battle. I don't really honestly see that. And Mercury is the 6th lord and 9th lord in the 12th house. Again, I don't see coronation to a very powerful country. I don't really see that. On the other hand, and if you see here, Lagna will change 3 minutes 17 seconds later. And if you take my rectified time, I strongly believe that the time cannot be 7:26. Even though that was the recorded time by the hospital, for some reason maybe he did not take breath immediately. Something happened, and my belief is that his time actual birth time was 7:30. If you take this time and make the same chart again, now if you make this chart, here you will see that Lagna is moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. And now the thing is, look at moon dasha now. Moon is the 6th lord in the 12th house, so he will show, yes, Viprit Rajoga, but also 6th lord with, see, if moon was alone, that is Viprit Rajoga. If a Dusthana lord is in Dusthana, that is Viprit Rajoga. Or two Dusthana lords are together in a Dusthana, that is Viprit Rajoga. But moon is with sun, a quadrant lord, so that is not Viprit Rajoga. That is basically moon will not give the result of Viprit Rajoga. He will only give the result of being 6th lord. And he is in the 12th house of loss, and being the 6th lord, he will show a lot of litigation. Sixth house is the house of quarrels, fights, litigation, etc. So you had all that litigation in the moon dasha and no clarity basically. There was suffering during that time. And once Mars dasha comes, notice that Mars is the Hora lord. Do you remember that Mars is the Hora lord? And now not only that, but look at Mercury and Mars now. They give a nice Raj Yoga. What house does Mars own? 10th house of karma. And what house does Mercury own? 5th house of power and recognition and following. So being the 5th lord and 10th lord, trine lord and quadrant lord, conjoining in the 11th house and aspecting the 5th house and aspecting Ghatika Lagna, but forget Ghatika Lagna. It may or may not be accurate. So even without Ghatika Lagna, being the 5th lord and 10th lord conjoining in the 11th house of gains and aspecting the 5th house, they can definitely give success, a great Raj Yoga. They can certainly give a Raj Yoga. So during Moon Dasha there was litigation. During Mars Dasha, he was elected the winner. He was what should I say? He was judged to be the winner. And then during Mercury Dasha, he actually got that power. Because Mercury is the 5th lord and Ghatika Lagna lord, that actual power came during Mercury Dasha. So everything fits beautifully. So, but the problem is, depending on whether you take 726 or 730, this year's Dashamsa Lagna also changes. So let me show how Dashamsa looks with this time. So if you take 2004 Tithi Pravesha chart, now if you look at Tithi Pravesha chart of 2004 and you look at the Hora Lord, the Hora Lord is, one second, is that right? One second, something may be wrong. Okay, Sanjay ji gets moon. Okay, so he said with his settings and time he gets moon. Okay, I get Mercury. Oh no, actually he also gets Mercury. Yeah. Okay, now never mind, nothing. Moon Dasha is running at the time of election. You will see that Moon Dasha is running at the time of election. And the thing with moon is, if you look just at the Rashi chart, in the Rashi chart, moon is 8th lord in the 10th house. That can show a fall in career. 8th lord shows fall, and in 10th house he can show a career in career. But at the same time, 8th lord can also show surprises or surprising some anxiety. So he can also show some anxiety in the career or some surprising results in the career. So it is not, you cannot conclusively say that because the results are happening in Moon Dasha, who is the 8th lord, he will win. You cannot make that determination, especially given that Moon is in Ghatika Lagna. Moon is in Ghatika Lagna and he is aspecting Lagna. If the same planet occupies or has Rashi Drishti on Lagna and Ghatika Lagna, he becomes a Yogada. He gives power. Similarly, if the same planet is occupying or aspecting Hora Lagna and Lagna, he becomes Yogada from the point of view of money. That planet will give lot of money. So here Moon is in Hora Lagna, Ghatika Lagna and aspecting Lagna. So he is a great Yogada. He will give money, power, etc. So again, it is very, very dicey. It is extremely dicey. It is very easy to make wrong call because it is so close. But the bottom line is, if you don't focus on November, because for all you know, Moon Dasha ends on December 2nd. This could drag on till December 2nd for all you know. So if you don't focus on November 2nd, because there is nothing sacrosanct about it, and if you focus on January 23rd, the date when finally the power will be either transferred or continued. Even if George Bush continues, he will take oath again. There will be a swearing in ceremony again. There will be an inauguration, formal inauguration. So at the time of inauguration of either George Bush or John Kerry, if you look at the Dasha, Mercury Dasha and Venus Antardasha. Mercury Dasha, Venus Antardasha is running. And the tricky thing about this is, if you take this Lagna in Dashamsa, based on the rectified time, Venus is the 5th lord in Lagna, and Mercury is the Lagna and 4th lord in the 7th house. So Mercury and Venus are aspecting each other. They are in Samasaptaka. This Samasaptaka is a Rajoga between Lagna lord and 5th lord, between 4th lord and 5th lord. It shows the blessings of Vishnu. It shows, especially Samasaptaka between Lagna and 5th Lord is a great Raj Yoga. It's a Maharaj Yoga. Just like the being together is a Maharaj Yoga, their Samasaptaka is also Maharaj Yoga. Either Yuti or Samasaptaka. So Mercury and Venus are giving a Raj Yoga. And during Mercury-Venus Antardasha, the inauguration is going to take place. So, if this rectified time of mine is accurate, I cannot believe that he will be thrown out of office on that day. On the other hand, if you take Sanjayji's time, 726, then you will see that the Lagna is not Gemini here, but the Dashamsa Lagna in this annual Tithi Pravesha chart will move to Taurus. And with Taurus Lagna, again Venus is the Lagna Lord and Mercury is the 5th Lord and they are aspecting each other. Still there is a Raj Yoga. But the problem is Mercury is in the 8th house. The Dasha Lord Mercury is in the 8th house. Even though he is the 5th Lord of power, he is in the 8th house. So there is a potential for losing the power. Because 8th house is the house of end or change. So during Mercury Dasha there can be a change, there can be a loss of power. So if his rectified time is accurate, his taken time is accurate, then there is a good chance that he will leave office. But if my rectification is accurate, then there is a very good chance that he will stay in office. And in the case of John Kerry, we did lot of work, but we can't be 100% sure that the time is right. Because like I said, there are 3 different times that were given. Even though the one that we discussed seems to fit his life much better than the other 2, we can't be 100% sure. So we can make prediction based on Bush chart more reliably than based on Kerry's chart. And unfortunately in Bush chart, I and Sanjayji could not come to an agreement on the time, rectified time. So it is very tough. So I will make my final prediction in the next few days. I will not make it now. But it is very dicey. And if somebody says that it is very clear that Kerry is going to win just because he got momentum in the last 2 debates, I don't think that is accurate. And actually I can't tell you based on what technique, but based on, I'll tell you. Based on Sudarshana Chakra, which allows you to look at individual days. In the last 7 or 8 days, suddenly there can be momentum in Bush's favor. So it is very dicey. If you study both the charts, the key is having the right time. And when we can't agree on the time, then prediction cannot agree. So let us not make a future prediction on George W. Bush and John Kerry. We will do that later. But America's chart? See, America's chart is very controversial. I know that Sanjayji took, actually when he was at my house, we took America's chart. We did the Tithi Pravesha of America's chart in 1980, 1984, 1988, 1992, 1996, 2000 and 2004, and we drew some conclusions. But the bottom line is that is very speculative. Because when did America become independent? It's not really as clear as in the case of India. Different people have different charts. It's a very...
Not all people signed the declaration.
Yes, there are so many things, so many details, so many fine details. So it's not at all clear which chart will work for USA. But you can look at the Lunar New Year chart of the country. There is a chart known as Lunar New Year chart. But again, you can't make such clear predictions based on it. If you see that, for example, there was one gentleman who correctly predicted that BJP will lose in the last elections. So because he made a successful prediction recently, people will give lot of value to his word. And he does not have Kerry's chart. He is not even confident about Bush chart. So without using the chart, just looking at the Lunar New Year chart, he said he took Jupiter and Saturn to show Republicans and Democrats. He saw the strengths in the Lunar New Year chart, and his conclusion was that Republicans will fall. So he concluded that John Kerry may win. He did not say conclusively. He said John Kerry has a good chance of winning. The problem with that is you don't have just the presidential elections. You have several congressional elections, Senate elections, and you have all these other elections. Are there any governor elections?
Yeah, there will be some states will have governor.
Yeah, so some governor elections, some Congress elections. So as a result of these elections, if the balance in either Senate or Congress shifts towards Democrats win, irrespective of George Bush continuing in office. So that logic of using Lunar New Year chart or America's chart and trying to see who will win is not really accurate. Because if you look at the 10th house there or the 9th house, different people see different houses there to see the government. It will only show the government. to see the president is very tough. If there is a change in the, for example, some important secretaries change, let us say, Colin Powell goes and somebody else comes, and let us say Rumsfeld goes and somebody else comes. That is a change in the government. Or the same government can stay, but Senate and Congress may have significant change in the balance, because they are so close right now. If a few elections go this way or that way, Senate balance can change, and suddenly Democrats can be powerful. So looking at the US chart or the Lunar New Year chart of US and trying to make predictions on who will win is very dicey. The best is their own charts. So if you want to make a prediction, the best is rectify this chart. Make sure that pick either 726 or 730 or something else, and then make a prediction.
What
That's
about,
correct.
we did not discuss anything on the Aurora, because on that particular,
Yeah.
I think only that person is the most important person on the entire planet.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, you can look at Aurora also. Yes.
you can spend a minute on that.
Yeah. So if you look at Aurora Lagna here, if you take this Lagna, if you take the Aurora Lagna here, Mercury is in the 10th house. For a benefic like Mercury, being in the 10th house is good.
Yeah.
He is well placed in the Aurora,
Okay.
right? And is Moon benefic or malefic? Moon is Shukla Ashtami Moon, right? Moon is in the Shukla Ashtami. Now, if you look at Moon from the Aurora Lagna in Dashansha, he is in the 7th house, which is a good placement. But from Aurora Lagna in the Rashi chart, he is in the 6th house. A benefic in the 6th house will show loss. A benefic in the 6th house cannot show gain unless he is debilitated in the Navamsha. He is not. He is exalted. So, Moon is a benefic in the Rashi chart. He is a benefic and he is in the 6th house from Rashi chart. The rule is benefics in the 6th from Rashi chart, benefics in the 6th from Aurora Lagna will show loss. Malefics in the 6th from Aurora Lagna will show victory. And not just 6th, this applies to 3rd and 6th. Benefics in 3rd and 6th from Aurora Lagna will show loss. Malefics in the 3rd and 6th from Aurora Lagna will show gain, unless they are debilitated. If they are debilitated, the results are reversed in the Navamsha, if they are debilitated in the Navamsha. If they are exalted in the Navamsha, the results are strengthened. So here, Moon is in the 6th house, he is a benefic because it is Shukla Ashtami. And that Moon is in the 6th from Aurora Lagna. So, being in the 6th from Aurora Lagna and in exalted Navamsha, he will make him lose. He will make the opponent look better. But again, it doesn't mean he is losing the election. The election may be close and he may decide to take something to the Supreme Court, something to the courts, and he may lose cover. People may think he is, again, how many times do you want to win because of Kalia and Clarence Thomas. People may be frustrated with him and people may look at him as a loser. But whether he is actually holding on to power or not is not necessarily from this Aurora Lagna placement. You have to look at Ghatika Lagna, you have to look at Lagna also for that. So, it is this chart is very extremely dicey, but you cannot rule out Bush continuing in office based on both the charts. If you have an impassionate study of both the charts, it is a very, very tricky case in this particular case. So it is very, very tough to make a prediction. Let us see let us go back to John Kerry so that the discussion is really complete. Let us go to his D24. When we see D24, the chart of studies, the basic education is seen from the 4th house, and the specialized education like bachelor's is seen from the 9th house. It is basically the way it works is, if you take the 6th from a house, just like 8th is the house of destroying something and starting something new, that is what we did in Navamsha. 7th house is the house of marriage and 2nd is the 8th from it. So that destroys this and starts a new marriage. So we took the 8th. So for every new marriage we take the 8 and so on. Because something is being destroyed and something new is being started. On the other hand, in the case of education, if you finish your basic education and you go to bachelor's, you focus on something like, let's say, master math, physics, chemistry, or let us say you focus on arts. You focus on a particular thing. Then that study, that is basically augmenting your existing studies, not destroying it and starting a new study. It is building on it. So for when there are changes which are of the nature of building on something, you take the 6th house progression. because 6th house is an upachaya, it is known as an upachaya. 3rd, 6th, 10th and 11th, these 4 houses are known as upachayas. They are the houses of accumulation. Upachaya literally means accumulating. Chaya means literally group. Upachaya means accumulation. So these are the house of accumulation, and 6th house is the house of growth. So what you do is, from the 4th house you take the 6th from it. What is the 6th from 4th? 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So 9th house is the 6th from 4th house. So you should see the 9th house for bachelor's education or any education where there is a focus, there is a specialization after the basic education. And after that, if you are doing some more specialized study like masters for example, then that will be the 6th from that will be 2nd house. So those are the rules. So here, if you look at the 4th house, what are the influences on the 4th house? Mercury is there. So will he be good in his basic education? Yeah, he will do well. On the other hand, Mercury is, in addition, Mercury is the 8th lord. Do you see that in Siddhamsa D24? Mercury is the 8th lord. He is in the 4th house. So 8th lord being in the 4th house also means that there will be lot of changes and instability in his basic education. 8th lord will show lot of changes.
Long-term breaks in between, this can signify that.
It can show breaks also. If somebody stops education after let's say 4th grade, and then he works, and then he goes back into 5th grade after let's say 3 years, that will also be shown by this 8th lord being in the 4th house. And in his case, I don't think there were any breaks. I don't know the complete history, but I think it was just the fact that he was roaming across countries. He was changing countries, and that is the instability. He had to learn new languages. He had to be acclimatized to different languages and different cultures and different countries. So that is what the 8th lord's presence in the 4th house shows. Some instability in the basic education. But on the other, but at the same time, Mercury is the 5th lord. So he is in the 4th house. So he will be intelligent and he will adapt very well. Mercury is the planet of flexibility and adapting. So he will adapt very well to different conditions and he will do quite well. And then the next level, the bachelor's level, is shown by 9th house. Okay. So what do you say about the 9th house? What is the kind of education that is possible?
Venus is aspecting it.
Okay. You have to see what kind of education. See who owns it, and then see who occupies it, and then who aspects it. Grahadrishti also can be seen, but Rasidrishti is more important, because that is a permanent influence on the study. There may be a desire to learn something when you are in your bachelor's. There may be a desire to learn a particular subject, but that is not important. Rasidrishti shows something that you always did. So during those 3 years or 4 years of bachelor studies, something that you consistently learned will be from the Rasidrishti. So who have Rasidrishti on Libra? Saturn and Moon and Mercury. These are the 3 planets, Moon, Mercury and Saturn. They have Rasidrishti on Libra. And out of them, Saturn has Grahadrishti also. Right? Saturn has Grahadrishti on the 3rd, 7th and 10th houses from him. So because Saturn has Rasidrishti and Grahadrishti, Saturn's influence is strong. So here there is a desire and there is also an influence, a permanent influence on his studies. So what kind of studies will Saturn in Leo give?
Traditional.
Yes, Saturn can give traditional studies. See, the thing is, to identify the exact studies is very difficult. You can only give, because for each planet you have hundreds of subjects, and out of those, based on the planet, you can pick some. There are 10 or 12 different subjects that are given to Saturn, and one of the subjects given to Saturn is sociology, politics, political science, etc. That is, Saturn is the planet of masses. Sun is the planet of kings, and Saturn is the planet of masses. And Saturn can show political science from the perspective of masses, understanding the dynamics of masses, understanding how politics works. So that can be given by Saturn. We can see the Amsa roller also. That's a very good point. Very good point. Okay. So Saturn is in Skandhamsa. What is Skanda? Who is Skanda? Subramanya. He is the planet of energy. He is the planet of energy and power. So we are talking about Saturn is the planet of masses. He is in Leo, the sign of Leo is the sign of politics, sign of kings, sign of power. In the natural zodiac from Aries, Leo is the 5th house of power. So Leo is the natural house of power, and Saturn, the planet of masses, is in that house of power, and he is in Skandamsa. Skanda is the chief of the army of gods. He basically represents power. So this Saturn will show study of something relating to empowering the normal people, empowering the masses. So this is a political science. I don't know exactly what he learnt under political studies, but he must have learnt political studies with a focus on empowering the poor, empowering the normal people, empowering the layman. So that must have been the focus of his studies in political science. But he did his bachelor's, he did his BA in political science. That was in Libra Dasha. And now let us see the Dasha. It was in Rahu Dasha. And can you guess when his bachelor's ended? Who will end this particular study shown by Libra? Exactly, 8th from that. Where is the 8th from that? 8th from Libra? Taurus. Who is there? Mercury. So during Mercury's Dasha or Antardasha, there is a pretty good chance that his bachelor study would end. That was 1965-66. And do you know when he actually graduated with a BA from Yale University in political science? It was 65 fall. It was in 1965 fall that his education ended. So it was in Rahu Mercury Antardasha that his education stopped. And then he went back to school and he studied law. So his continuing education, which house do you see it from? Which sign? Libra showed his bachelor's. His continued studies will be in the 6th from that is the 2nd house. So remember the sequence, 4th, 9th and 2nd. These are the basic studies, specialized studies and further continuation. So Sun is there and it is a sign owned by Jupiter, and Jupiter has Grahadrishti on it and Mars is aspecting it. So based on all these things, again there are so many different possibilities. For example, Sun can show politics, right? And Mars can show, what can Mars show? Pardon me? Mars can show some kind of engineering, and what can Jupiter show?
Teacher.
Yeah, Jupiter can show teacher, excellent. Teacher, religious studies and law. So these are various possibilities, and out of these, what actually happened in his case was the result given by Jupiter. Why was it law? Why did he go into law? Why not into engineering, for example? For me?
It's a ninth house.
Yeah?
Jupiter in ninth house is.
No, not Jupiter.
Can Jupiter in ninth house have some kind of?
Yes. So if you take that sign as the reference point to see his master's education, if you see that sign, even though Sun is there, even though Mars is aspecting it, the planet who is really strongest from that sign is Jupiter. He is the Lagna Lord in the 9th house. Whenever you see Lagna Lord is in the 9th house, 9th house is the house of dharma and protection. He is protecting that particular thing, particular Lagna. So his education, his continued education is so controlled by Jupiter. He is not only Lagna Lord, but he is in the 9th house and he is protecting. And 9th house is a very auspicious house for Jupiter to be. And Jupiter is in the 9th house, he takes control over the chart. So because of that reason, more than Sun and Mars, Jupiter would dominate. And his master's education, actually it was not master's, it was another bachelor's. You can look at it as another bachelor's. I don't even think I don't remember the name, I don't think it's called bachelor's or master's, but it's a law degree basically, a diploma in law. But basically that continued education is dominated by Jupiter. Similarly, if you go back to the bachelor's, from Libra we saw that Saturn, Mercury and Moon can show the nature of the education. And you will see that from Libra, Saturn is a Yogakaraka. Not only is he having Grahadrishti, Rasidrishti, that was the reason I gave. But more important reason is, From Libra, Saturn is a Yokarka and he is in the 11th house of gains. So apart from having Rashi Drishti, he is a very auspicious planet from Libra. So when it came to the education controlled by Libra, Saturn controlled it. Similarly, when it comes to the education controlled by Pisces, Jupiter will dominate that particular education. So he studied law. Okay. So this is how you see Siddhanta. You take the 4th house, 9th house and 2nd house for various educations and you can make predictions from it. So this is how you see Siddhanta, and based on various divisional charts that we have seen so far, there is a good chance, very good chance that this particular time that we have rectified to 8 a.m. is an accurate time, because in several charts things make perfect sense. With the original time of 8:3, you can actually, as a homework, you can take the chart, make the chart and take 8:3 as the time instead of 8:8. Some of the divisional charts will stay the same, but Dashamsha will be different. And look at Dashamsha and see if it makes sense. Try to explain using Risaptati Samadasha, try to explain when he had business, when he had his own practice, when he was working for the government, when he became lieutenant governor, when he went to Senate. Try to explain all these things. It does not make any sense at all. It is total nonsense. So there is a very good chance that the time given on Lois Rodin's website, Astro Data Bank, is wrong and the time is 8:8. So with that I will end for today, and next class will be cancelled because I will be in Washington DC. There is another workshop, the Jagannath Center workshop being held in Washington DC next Saturday and Sunday, and I will be teaching a couple of topics there. So I'll be going there for Saturday and Sunday. So we will not have the next class, and we will have what is the date today? So October 24. So on that day we will have a class at the same time, same place. We will end today's class with that. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.